This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and you could probably tell by my voice that I am pretty happy. I am a happy Eels fan as Parramatta got the victory on Easter Monday against the West Tigers, 38 points to 22, played at Commbank Stadium in front of 26,145 fans. Now, I must say, it was a great atmosphere there at Commbank Stadium. Look, there was a lot of Tigers fans, but there was a lot of Parramatta Eels fans. And yes, the Eels fans could be heard nice and loud in the crowd. That is for sure. It was, as I said, 38 points to 22. It was a 7-4 victory. It was unfortunately a shocking day with the boot from the Parramatta standards, as it was only 4 from 7 conversions, 1 from 1 penalty goals. Now, look, it was a little bit disappointing that Mitchell Moses wasn't kicking the goals. Sean Russell was a goal kicker. The two that he did kick, the 2 conversions that he did kick, 43rd minute, 45th minute, they were pretty much identical kicks. Did have a few hard ones, I must admit, from way out the sideline, but we all know how good a goal kicker Mitchell Moses is. He actually did kick a goal, a 76th minute, and Riley Smith as well. He left foot kicked right in front of the post. He got a goal as well, so great to see Riley on the scoreboard there, goal kicking wise. Now, look, it was all hyped up all throughout the week in terms of how the Tigers would respond to playing without Lockie Galvin. He was playing reserve grade down the road at Lidcombe Oval for the West Magpies. And, it was going to be interesting to see how the Tigers would respond to that, having him out of the team. And look, Parramatta, they got off to the good start. They got the penalty goal nice and early, the 3rd minute, to Sean Russell, and also Josh Addo-Carr. Then he scored the first try in the corner. And Jesus, great to have a winger with speed out on the wing. Absolutely, we saw it a few times there during the game, just how much speed Josh Addo-Carr does have. And he scored 2 tries, the first and the last try, actually. So if you had a bet on that for Josh Addo-Carr to score the first and last try, I should say, you would have got yourself a handsome sum there, but gamble responsibly, I must add that one. Josh Addo-Carr, he had a good game. I thought he was pretty solid, actually. There was a time there where Isaiah Ongi got not suspended, what am I talking about? Sin-binned, and Josh actually went back to fullback. Now, I was a little bit worried on a few occasions there because, especially around the 61st minute when Alex Seyfarth scored his try, just the fact that Josh Addo-Carr was up in the line pretty much and not a little bit back as a fullback would be. Look, I do think that if he was a little bit back like a fullback you would think would be, then maybe that Alex Seyfarth try wasn't scored, but there could have been a miscommunication issue between himself and Sean Russell. Maybe there could have been a man-on call from Sean Russell to Josh just to let him know that Alex was there and potentially that try might not have been scored. But look, he's got speed, that's for sure. That's what you want at fullback. Doesn't play a lot of fullback, so I'll give him that. But certainly came up with one hell of a play there that almost certainly saved a try. The Tigers were going down the right edge, I think it was. Josh Adokar, the last man of defence, tapped the ball forward and caught it again, regained possession and took the intercept. And look, if it wasn't for him there, the Tigers would have scored a try. So that was a magnificent effort there. Kelma Tuilagi, who scored a try during the game, I thought had a good game. Unfortunately, though, he will spend the next 3 weeks on the sidelines due to a high contact shoulder charge. Shoulder charge, which unfortunately for him, he'll be missing for the next 3 games. Parramatta have the bye this weekend, so he won't miss one there. But that happened right in the second minute, so very early on in the game. Wasn't penalised for the game, for the shoulder charge. He was just on report, and it came out later that today in the charge sheet, so I think it was late last night, Monday night, that he would serve a 3-week ban, which is unfortunate. There was also another little incident that he was involved in. I think that was just after half time, I think it was. Bit of a hip drop tackle. Look, what's your thoughts? Was it a hip drop? It was... it was certainly. It looked like one, but I don't think they took it as one, because I think it sort of wasn't really sliding down. Didn't really lose his legs, I don't think. I think it looked worse than what it was, to be honest. It looked pretty bad. Seeing on live at the ground. But it was on report. I can't remember what happened there. It was penalised as a hip drop tackle. Kelma, a couple of minutes later, actually line braked and scored a try as well. It was a great pass from Mitchell Moses. That was after the half-time break, which in going into half-time, it was 10-all. Isaiah Iongi got his first try of the match. Again, speed at fullback, just coming around the back, getting the ball and scoring a try. Had a little bit of work to do, but it was a great effort there to get Parramatta back to 10-all. It was the Tigers held a brief lead there after Jareen Buller scored a try in the 27th minute to get the Tigers in front, 10 points to 6. Unfortunately for the West Tigers fans, Adam Dewey missed the kick. So they were leading 10-6, and then Parramatta got back into the game to 10-all. And that's where half-time was. It was 10-all at half-time. And look, it's still, you thought still it could be anybody's game, but straight after half-time, that's where Kelma scored his try. And then only 3 minutes later, big Sam Tuivaiti scored his first ever NRL try. So congratulations to big Sam. Now, I actually thought Sam was one of the players of the match, to be honest. Look, Mitchell Moses probably was. But I think that Sam Tuivaiti, he came a pretty close second. He was probably, in my opinion anyway, I think he was the second best player on the field. He only played 33 minutes off the interchange bench, but boy, did he have an impact on the match. That is for sure. 12 runs, 114 metres. Scored that try, as I said. Also made 20 tackles as well. I think he also went off for a HIA at one stage as well, which sort of hindered his progress a little bit. I remember Junior coming on the field there. But yeah, great game from Sam. As I said, could have been the man of the match as far as I'm concerned. But look, you had to give it to Mitchell Moses on his return back from injury. Mitchell Moses undefeated this season. Wouldn't that have been handy to have at the start of the season? But it wasn't to be, obviously, with that foot injury. But look, what a great game on his return, Mitchell, that is for sure. Kicked the goal, 9 runs, 76 metres. Also had 3 try assists as well, 2 line break assists. Kicked for 381 metres off 13 kicks, and one of those kicks led to Bailey Simonson's try. A very smart piece of play from Mitchell. Just noticed that the fullback was up and there was plenty of open space there, and when you've got a speed man like a Bailey Simonson on the wing, he just put the kick forward for Bailey, and Bailey got the bounce and scored a try as well. So he had a pretty good game as well, Bailey Simonson. That was in the 74th minute, and then Josh Adokar wrapped the game up in the 77th minute with his second try. So, and it was really good to see Riley Smith kick the goal. Left footer too, much like myself, a left footer. Yeah, he got his first goal, but a couple of incidents during the game. Obviously, in the 53rd minute, that's where all hell broke loose, sort of thing. Riley Smith was involved in a tackle that took the Tigers player over the sideline, and then Tuivaiti, he wasn't too happy with that. It just absolutely grabbed little Riley and launched him. He went flying, and then Luca Moretti, he's just sticking up for his mate. He got 10 in the bin as well. He was grabbing Tuivaiti. I think the ruling was the fact that he came in sort of after it all started, sort of third man in sort of stuff. But look, I don't agree with it. He was just sticking up for his mate. Look, Tuivaiti just launched him, launched Riley. So you know what's a mate supposed to do? A teammate, you're not going to stand there and take that. So you're obviously going to be pushing and shoving. You can't be punching anymore. Those rules have all gone, so you cannot do that anymore. So obviously just pushing and shoving. There was no punches thrown. Tuivaiti was giving Russell a bit of a mouthful on the way off the field. Who knows whether that's got to do with what's going on during the week. I don't know what was said. I wasn't there. But it certainly spiced things up, that is for sure, during the game. Isaiah Ongi, he also got sin bin as well for a professional foul. Now, that one was a really interesting one, I thought. There was a kick put through, and at the same time, it's pretty much simultaneously, I thought anyway. If you looked at it on the replay, it just happened so fast. There was a kick put through by Stafford Toa, I think, and Isaiah Ongi arrived at the same time. They clashed. The referee deemed that was a professional foul because there was a potential for the Tigers player to score a try. This was about 20 metres away from the try line anyway. And look, there was Sean Russell standing behind. I think it was Stafford Toa behind him anyway. So even if he did put a kick in, look, would he have been the first player to get that ball across the try line? Maybe not, because Sean Russell was there as well. So look, I don't think it was a sin bin. But look, Parramatta, they went down to 11 players with 22 minutes to go. It was only for 5 minutes that they were down to 11 players, I should say. But it was during this time that the Tigers, they scored their 2 tries and sort of got themselves back into the game. It was 26-22 at that point, and that's the Alex Seafarth try, and Luke Lualihi, he scored a try as well. So they got themselves back into the game, 26-22, and I was sitting there in the stands just thinking, oh no, here we go. Parramatta, they have played so good today, and to let a big lead slip and all of a sudden the Tigers are in striking distance. I hope they don't get this game. I hope they don't get this victory. Thankfully they didn't. Parramatta showed plenty of resilience, and the 11 players that were on the field stood up, and the players got back. Luca Murray got back on the field. Isaiah Ongi got back on the field, and they went on to win the game. So it was a good showing of a little bit of resilience there. Apparently, they have been training like that at times, and for those scenarios. Those sort of things can come up from time to time, but it was really good to see that they hung in there. They didn't drop their heads, and got the victory in the end. Top performing Eels players. Now, the Paracave podcast Eels Player of the Year, I gave 3 points to Mitchell Moses. I've already mentioned his stats, and I gave 2 points to Sam Tuivaiti, and for the 1 point I gave to Josh Addo-Carr. Now, Josh Addo-Carr, he scored 2 tries, played that role at fullback for a little bit while Iongi was off in the sin bin. 10 runs, 134 metres, 2 line breaks, 1 try assist as well. That was in the first half, I believe, for Iongi's first try. Sorry, no, that was for his second try, I believe. And Addo-Carr was just running. He got past Taruva, he was down the wing, and then an inside ball to Iongi, and he scored his second try there in the 47th minute. So that was his try assist. Look, pretty solid. I think Josh Addo-Carr is finding his place well now in this Parramatta Eels side. I think he's getting used to the players around him. It's his 4th game in this team, so slowly getting back into it. And as I said, it's great to see the speed on the edges. 1 intercept as well. Geez, how important was that one? So that was my 3-2-1 for the Eels Player of the Paracave Podcast Eels Player of the Year. Top performing Eels players, Riley Smith, 36 tackles. Now, it was really good to see Riley start the game. Played the whole 80 minutes as well. And look, didn't miss a beat, I didn't think. Made some crucial tackles. Went for an early kick at one stage. Nearly went out. But unfortunately it didn't. But the idea was there. I think also to his kick pressure as well. Just you're standing there watching it live, sitting behind the goalpost, you get that good view. Pretty much sort of that, that dogged determination from a marker just to try and get that kicker, maybe charge it down. That's what you'll see from Riley all the time. But if only other players could do that as well, that'd be good. Get a bit of assistance there. But look, that's what he's known for. that's what he's going to do. So another good game from there from Riley. It was a 44-metre kick too, by the way, but the idea was there, the execution just not there. But I really like the fact that he started the game and basically finished the game as well. So he was the top tackler for Parramatta. Bailey Simonson, well, his return from injury was the Canberra game up in Darwin. This is his second game back. Again, he was strong. I thought scored that try, as I mentioned, off the Mitchell Moses kick. 202 metres from 21 runs. 77 post-contact metres, 9 tackle breaks. So, again, he is slowly getting back into the rhythm of first grade. 2 games in now. He'll have a bye weekend this weekend and probably be named in the team for Magic Round, which gives a little bit of a headache, I guess, and probably a nice headache to have for Jason Riles when Zach Lomax is fit and ready to come back from his foot injury. Does Bailey go into the centres and Zach go onto the wing? Does that mean that Sean Russell gets dropped? There has been a lot of people who have said that. Look, I think Sean gets a little bit of a hard... He's hard done by. A bit of harsh criticism, I think, from sometimes from Sean. Yes, look, we really did miss a radar boot like Mitchell Moses when it came to goal kicks, but look, I think he's a good quality backup player. I just think, maybe when Zach Lomax is back and fit, maybe Simonson goes into the centres and Lomax goes on the wing, but he's there now. He's doing a job. I think he's a pretty standard, good first grader. And can fill that centre position. So I think while Zach's out, then he will be holding that spot. One thing I will mention too, and that you just saw how much, I guess you could say, connection this team does have, is when big Sam Tuivaiti scored his try, just how excited the rest of the team was for him to get across that line. And that's what you want to see. I think, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid scoring his first try in NRL, and the excitement from his teammates. And that was really good to see that happen. I thought also Dylan Walker, again, played a good game off the bench, made some good decisions with passes, his ball playing was good, and just takes a little bit of pressure, I guess, off Dylan Brown again, who I also thought had a good game as well. Dylan Brown, probably, maybe his best game of the season. 14 runs, 201 run metres, so the most that he has run this season in terms of metres. Kick return metres, 24. There was a point there where he made a break, and geez, I thought it was going to be a try. I thought if only there was one more pass inside, if only there was a player inside to pass to, he would have got that ball too. So second highest run meter eater in the side against the West Tigers. Pretty solid game from Junior Paulo. 50 minutes, 14 runs, 128 metres, which is not bad from a front row. What you want, 20 tackles as well. So look, that were probably the, I guess you could say, standout performers from Parramatta. But geez, it was good to get a win. Many weeks of losses, especially after that Canberra loss, with Canberra putting 50 points on Parramatta up there in Darwin. It wasn't a good feeling, that is for sure. The team stats, well, possession was 52% to Parramatta, 48% to the Tigers. Completion rate was a pretty good completion rate from Parramatta, which is what you need to win games, 87%. That was from 36 sets of 6 out of 41. And the other thing that really helped Parramatta, well, the missed tackles were pretty much even, but a lot lower than last week, that is for sure. One interesting thing that I saw and many others saw as well, Eddie Jones, former Wallabies coach, in the box with Jason Riles. Now, obviously, Jason Riles has worked with Eddie Jones before. Apparently, he had been at training all week, just giving advice to the coaching staff. Pretty interesting when he was at Manly. I think it was on the Thursday night, and or maybe that was the week before. I can't remember which one it was, whether it was last week or the same week, but certainly Eddie everywhere he's becoming at the moment. But look, just helping out Jason Riles, a good mate and fellow former work colleague, and look, Jason's new into the role of a head coach, so Eddie's been there in rugby union, loves his rugby league apparently, so yeah, I don't know what advice he gave him, but it certainly worked. So, Eddie, you're probably welcome again at training, again with Jason and the coaching staff, because it probably worked. So, welcome anytime, I guess, until we start losing. But that's for sure. The only unfortunate part is that Parramatta stay in 17th spot on the NRL ladder, but look, a win is a win, and it will give the team confidence. They know that they can do it. The only thing that is probably going to halt that a little bit is the bye this week, but that just gives Zach Lomax another week, gives any other players with any niggling injuries just a week off, just a little bit of a break, reset, get ready for Magic Round against the Sharks up there in Brisbane. But as I said, still unfortunately on the bottom of the ladder, but it gives you confidence. And look, anything could happen. You have a bye, you get the 2 points. A team, the Roosters or the Panthers, they both might lose on the weekend. Parramatta jump them. So, yeah, you just don't know what is going to happen, but that will give the boys confidence, certainly put a smile on the fans' face, that is for sure, including myself, which is what you want. Just makes Easter all that much sweeter. Thank you very much for listening to this game review of the West Tigers versus Parramatta Eels, round number 7, Easter Monday, the traditional Easter Monday clash at Commbank Stadium. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please don't forget, subscribe to the Instagram page, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from, so you can no doubt listen to these as they drop. Thank you very much for listening. Now, the tipping podcast will be out. I will do that tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, so that will be out a day later as well. Now, I do apologise, but Easter Monday really throws me around a little bit. I should maybe get a little bit better scheduled, I guess, but look, I did end up getting home, I think, about 8 o'clock last night, 8 p.m. last night. It was a long day, so look, everything will be probably a day behind this week, but nevertheless, the content will still be there. The tipping podcast will come out. There'll be an interview podcast come out as well. Thank you very much for listening. The Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.